marathon.
We're ready.
Morning.
Yeah, all right, let's
A
go.
little bit scared. My fellow runners are all part of a team preparing for a charity run. And that's not the only team they're in. They're also part of a dedicated team of experts that any one of Britain's 19,000 or so MOT test stations can call on for help. They are the MOT Enquiry Unit.
Good afternoon, Vehicle and Operator Services Agency. Can I help you?
Good afternoon, Vehicle and Operator Services Agency.
We've come to the MOT Enquiry Unit, the headquarters here in Swansea, to answer some of your most commonly asked questions with a panel made up of members of the phone team. And we've also come to see them at work. First, this is Tracy, a fellow jogger and the unit's manager. Tracy, what's the Enquiry Unit actually for?
The main purpose of the Enquiry Unit is to provide our customers with a single point of contact for any inquiries they may have on VOS's testing schemes.
So why use the unit?
One of the main reasons would be to maintain consistency on the answers that are given out. We've usually had the question asked to us before, so we know the answer. But if we don't know the answer, we immediately know who to turn to get the answer.
So why not call a local VE?
Very often, vehicle examiners are out of the office carrying out their enforcement duties, so we are the quickest and easiest access to information, and we're experts too.
And what time are the lines open from and until?
At the moment, we're open Monday to Friday between 7:30 and 5:30. We do provide a service on a Saturday as well, and that's between 8 o'clock in the morning and 2:30 in the afternoon. However, there are plans to increase our opening hours shortly to between 7 in the morning to 8 o'clock in the evening.
And how many calls do you think you take in a day?
On an average day, we take about 1,500 calls, but on a busy day, we have taken up to 1,800.
Are they all about MOT testing?
No, they're not. We take inquiries on all of those as testing schemes. We handle inquiries on the single vehicle approval scheme, on the vehicle identification check scheme. We also take bookings for HEVs and PSVs in the inquiry unit, and that's just to name a few. VOSA also serves bus and truck operators. They contact the inquiry unit to make bookings and ask advice on testing and operator licensing requirements.
So the phone team need a wide knowledge base then?
Yeah, they do. The inquiry unit need knowledge in such a variety of subjects. We do have an expert on-site trainer who delivers their training in stages, introducing just one scheme at a time. When they're competent, then we send them on the Nominators Testers course. Also, we receive advanced copies of any publications, such as special notices, that prepares us then for any likely questions that are likely to come out of them.
Well, I've got a list of the most commonly asked questions, so let's go and put it to some members of the panel. The first thing I'd like to know is, how do you guys know what it's like to actually be a tester?
Well, all of us, before we're able to do the standards course, have to do the nominated testers course. So we train alongside the testers from the garages, and also we do the refresher courses as well alongside testers.
Now, you must get some strange questions coming in. What's one of the most obscure queries you've had?
The other week we took a call from a garage that wanted our advice on the emissions test. He was about to start, the tester was about to start the emissions test. He inserted the probe into the exhaust, but the exhaust was so hot that it melted the probe. So we advised that he couldn't complete the test, and the condition of the vehicle was that, in the opinion of the tester, a proper examination would involve danger or injury to any persons or damage to any property.
What do you do when you have a really obscure question that perhaps you're not sure about the answer to?
We do have support. If the answer isn't immediately obvious, then we can ring our colleagues in testing standards, policy and strategy for any queries on testing standards, or the MOT compliance and computerisation section for compliance issues.
And where else do you get your information from?
The MOT inspection manual and also the MOT testing guide.
Okay, let's look at some of the questions in a bit more detail. Bonnie, a car has been presented for a test with a foreign number plate. What do we write on the certificate?
You fill in the registration box with the foreign number that's displayed on the vehicle.
Can you fail the vehicle though, because the letters and the figures are obviously incorrectly spaced?
No, because the vehicle will have new plates when it's registered in Great Britain.
Mike, I'm in the middle of testing a car which has a catalyst fitted, but according to the flowchart, it's a non-cat test. So do I test it as a catalyst test?
You'd follow the flow chart. If it's a non-cat test, then you actually carry out a non-cat test, irrespective of the fact that a cat is fitted or not.
I've got a car in for a test and the headlamps are showing blue. The presenter is saying that previously the car's always passed when the lights are this colour.
If the lamps are predominantly blue, it'll fail. The light that's emitted has to be substantially white or yellow, and you can check that up in the manual. It is outlined in the manual.
Okay. I've got a car in for a test and the airbag warning light is on. Can I fail it?
No, you can't fail that as the airbag warning light's not part of the test, but you should advise the presenter of the defect.
Okay, the car also appears to have had the ABS disconnected, but the light is still there. How do I test it?
You should test it exactly as stated in section 3.4 of the inspection manual. If the light follows the correct sequence, then you should pass and advise informing the vehicle presenter of any defect.
Now, customers come in to the garage requesting a duplicate test certificate because they've mislaid their original. They're saying that they've now got a cherished number on the vehicle and they want me to write that number into the certificate. I'm sure that I can't do that. I've said that I'll call back and verify that that's the case. Is that so?
You're quite right. The certificate should be written out exactly as the original. Then it's down to the vehicle owner to either take along the certificate to the local DVLA office or to send it to them for them to amend it with the correct registration.
I've been presented with a vehicle having its first time test. The vehicle presenter has produced the new style registration certificate. I know that I've got to write the number of the registration document in the box that's entitled the serial number of the last certificate in order to post date it, but the number's normally on the top corner of the document and it's not there.
On the new registration certificate, the document reference number is approximately halfway down on the right-hand side, and it's at the start of the green portion.
I'm testing an American vehicle and the rear indicator lights are red. The presenter tells me that it's always passed the test with these lights.
The indicators must emit an amber light. The only exception would be for vehicles first used before the 1st of September 1965, where both front indicators can show a white light and both rear indicators a red light. So if it doesn't meet that criteria, then it would fail.
And a big camper van has been brought in for a test. Can I test it, as surely it's not a Class 4 test?
Yes, all camper vans and mobile homes, irrespective of the weight and size, are a Class 4 test. The only restriction on you testing would be whether your equipment would take the size of the vehicle. If it's too big for your testing station, then our advice is to send them along to a heavy goods vehicle testing station where they can test the size of the vehicle.
Do the inquiries you get help you identify trends?
We can get a picture of where problems and issues are being built up. The advantage of ringing the inquiry unit as opposed to ringing the local vehicle examiner would be that the problem would then be recorded centrally and issues would be raised and recorded in the inspection manual.
So in the future these would be problems that you could deal with?
That's right, yeah.
Bonnie, do you deal with calls about Class 5 and 7 vehicles?
Yes, we do.
OK, I've been presented with a goods vehicle which has no manufacturer's plate or a ministry plate. So how do I decide whether it's a Class 4 or a Class 7?
If it's a vehicle type you're familiar with, then go ahead and test it, as long as you're authorised to test that class, of course. But if you're not familiar with the vehicle, then you need to get the presenter to provide you with some proof of the weight, a registration document or a letter from the manufacturer.
Now, if there isn't a weight plate, how do you carry out a brake test?
Well, if there's no weight plate on the vehicle or it doesn't appear on the brake data chart, then you carry out the usual performance checks on the roller brake tester, i.e. looking for bind or judder, and then you need to establish the efficiency by using a decelerometer.
But what happens if the wheels lock?
Well, in the majority of cases, use the locked wheel criteria set out on page 23 of the brake section.
So Mike, I'm testing a Class 5 vehicle and there appears to be perspex in the sliding door panel. Is that acceptable?
You must decide if it meets the criteria for safety glass as illustrated in section 6 of the inspection manual. If it doesn't meet the criteria, then it must fail. However, if there is any uncertainty, you must give the benefit of the doubt and pass and advise.
Now, do you all get all sorts of questions about bikes as well?
Yes, we do.
Okay, how about this? I've got an unregistered motorbike in for test and there's no chassis number or frame number on the machine. So if I test it, there's nothing I can write on the certificate. Can I refuse to test it?
No, you can't test that as there's no way of identifying the bike on the certificate. You need to tell the vehicle presenter to write to the DVLA and ask them to allocate an identifying number. They'll allocate a number, forward it on to the local DVLA office, and they will then arrange for it to be fixed to the vehicle. Also, if the bike is under 10 years old, it may require a motorcycle single vehicle approval test, as well as an MOT, before it can be registered.
Okay, and I've checked the wheel alignment on the bike that I'm testing and they appear to be out of line. The bike is shaft driven, so should I fail it?
No, you shouldn't. If you look at 2.5 of the manual, there are instructions there, especially about shaft-driven motorbikes, and there is a certain amount of misalignment that is allowed. So it's up to you to make the judgment, having read the instructions.
What's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you guys when you've taken a call?
We had a lady ring the inquiry unit the other day, asking us to help her find the garage that MOT'd her vehicle. We take calls like this every day really, but we do need certain information from the customer in order to help them. We need either the serial number of the MOT certificate or the test station number of the vehicle test station that they took it to. This lady was, in this lady's case, it was a little bit different. She had taken her vehicle to be MOT'd that morning at a test station, but forgotten what garage she took it to, so she didn't know where to go back to get the car. So the only clue that she could give us was that it was by a bridge at the end of the road.
And this was in presumably a different city, somewhere that you don't know at all.
So we referred her to a local VOSR enforcement office in the hope that somebody there might have local knowledge that could advise her maybe on where the garage was.
Near a bridge. Mary, the unit's not just important to the general public and to the MOT test stations as well, though, is it?
No, the information we collect on a daily basis is very, very, very important. It's vital to the development of the manual, and all the special notices and other updates that come into the manual, the majority of them are generated from the inquiry unit.
And how important do you think the role of the unit is?
Very important. We provide a service for the testers and members of the public with inquiries about the MOT testing scheme. We research inquiries. If we can't find the answer straight away, then we're prepared to take it as far as necessary in order to provide the answer.
So you're always there to help?
We're always there to help.
The questions that I fired at the panel were just a selection, and they never hesitated once. We've seen how important the MOT Enquiry Unit is to the MOT scheme, so if you've got a question, give them a call. They'll be happy to help.
Okay. Thanks, bye.